Okay, good evening, everyone. Calling together the planning board meeting for September 6th for the city of Brockton. Just quickly to let you know, this meeting is being recorded and allows for real-time public participation. Comments can be addressed to the planning board utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. This application allows users to view the meeting and send a comment or question to the chair via the question and answer function. Submitted text comments will be read into the record. For those of you joining by phone, press *9. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. A copy of this meeting will be on the city's web pages. All votes will be done via roll call to ensure accuracy. Okay. Start with roll call. James Sweeney.
Here.
Marty Crowell.
Here.
Larry Hassan.
Here.
Yolanda Spinolo.
Here.
Sorry. Tony Gonzalez here. Okay. All board members are present. Let's see. Is there well, first let me read the agenda. Sorry about that, folks. Looks like there's no A&Rs or lot releases. We have a definitive subdivision for 262 Winter Street, Ken Estates. 516 Pleasant Street site plan review has been continued. So if you're here for 516 Pleasant Street, this will not be heard tonight.
That's the two Debbie's
Yes.
convenience store? Okay.
Okay. 710 Oak Street site plan review is on tonight. If you're here for 1315 Main Street, Teen Challenge site plan review, this has been continued. It will not be heard tonight. 26 School Street site plan review is on for tonight. This is a 40R. That's the agenda for this evening. Is there a motion to accept last month's minutes, meeting minutes?
Motion to accept August minutes.
Second,
Okay, roll call. James Sweeney,
Yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
yes.
Yolanda Spinolo.
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right. Okay. And no street acceptances either. All right. Is the applicant here, David Cruz, for the 262 Winter Street?
And is there anybody else? Bill Self is also part of that gang. Who else is with Winter Street? Sean, we're working on getting you over there now. There you go. Bill, will you be presenting?
I'm here. Now you can hear me.
There you are, sir.
Good evening. Yeah, Sean Pilling will be helping, assisting with the plan viewing, Rob.
And he is there.
So he's all set.
Is Isaiah Thurwell? Oh, that's Isaiah. Never mind. He showed up as a panelist. Apologize. Okay, Bill, you're ready.
Yeah, good evening. If Sean, if you could call up the plans, if you could have the screen, Rob. There we go. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we were here in front a few months ago with the preliminary plan. From then we went, after approval, we went to the Board of Appeals and got approval on the lots that were deficient in area frontage and lot width and depth. As you see, I'll explain exactly, where we are. This is up off of 262 Winter Street, being shown where lot 7 is. And then access for the subdivision will be off the end of a dead end is existing now Kent Street. And at the end of Kent Street is lot 6, which is number 34. In both number 34 Kent and 262 Winter Street are owned by Dave Cruz Properties. If we could go to sheet number 2, Sean, and if you could reduce that a little bit. I'm looking at there we go. Sheet 2. I just wanted to show the board what remind the board of what the configuration was. You had 3 separate lots. You had the 262, which it's comprised about 2 acres. You had the lot to the back, about 28,000 square feet, over half an acre, that was owned by the city of Brockton, that was bought by auction by Dave Cruz Properties. And you also had number 34 Kent Street. If you can look at number 34 Kent Street, it was a very, very odd configuration when the lot was first created. You can see that there was, what we needed to do was to redivide everything, both those houses, both those lots, and to create the roadway. And certainly by the results of that, we improved the condition, certainly of number 34. If we could go to sheet number 3, I think, Sean. Sheet number 4. As you can see, if you can just see where the original lot lines were dashed in, you can see the reconfiguration starting with number 34. You can see that it certainly made it a much better lot. You know, with the reconfiguration. That was the lot with the less frontage of all, which we ended up asking for relief on for 75 feet on that. And the way that we looked at that, it had great improvement to where the house was. Now you can actually have a driveway, and certainly a more usable lot out of that. And the rest of the lots that you can see, they're all being proposed raised ranches that will be consistent with the other housing in the neighborhood, excepting number 262, which is an older colonial style home fronting on Winter Street. They'll be constructed a cul-de-sac at the end. We asked for the waiver on the total length of Kent Street to be able to, develop this particular configuration. If you go to lot 5, Sean, sheet 5. What you see here is it's a little bit busy, but I wanted to see, it deals a lot with how we laid up the lots, how we did our grading. A couple of things. One of the main things that came up, there was 1 or 2 abutters from the I think it's Arcadia Lane or Arcadia Ardsley Drive out and back. And what was agreed at talked about at the Board of Appeals meeting was that we'd install, the contractor would install a stockade fence along that entire northerly property line that abuts all of those lots that are, where the rear lots are. The other thing that we did during the grading of all the lots, you can see about 7 or 8 feet away from the line, we're gonna try to install a small 3-foot high, more of a rock wall. And what that does, it gives a little bit more of a flat area right to the rear of the property. If there's any large trees, really trees worth saving, certainly we'll avoid any and all of those that we can. It also creates more of a plateau effect to the rear of the properties, to the rear of the buildings on that, the new houses on the subdivision. And we did that. Mitigates some of the runoff, the velocity of any runoff, surface runoff towards those properties in the rear. The other thing we also have on all of the lots are the recharge units for all of your roof runoff. Again, minimizing any existing runoff in that direction. The way that we've designed for the drainage to handle all the surface water, is that there's an existing at the end of existing Kent Street, there's an existing sewer and drain line that goes out towards the back of I believe it's number 31, house number 31. But it goes out through an easement and out back out to the Ardsley Circle. So what we've done is that there will be some water there will be a high point so that some of the water coming down the street will be caught by a couple of catch basins right in front of number 34. And in turn, they'll put those into a manhole and then go to the northwest with a line that drops into a silt area, catch area, in the drainage basin itself, as well as 2 catch basins up in the cul-de-sac that will also drain into that siltation area. Once it's in there, it'll collect into that detention area where it'll pick up the water with any size peak storm. And you'll see that there's an outlet structure more to the front left of the lot. And that'll be for an overflow area that now we will have a return drain line that will go down into the existing drainage at the end of Kent Street. So that's basically how the process of the surface runoff will be handled. We've reviewed it with the city engineer, who was very helpful, and we seem to have something that we are comfortable with, and he certainly gave us some points that we changed, any changes that we made, any recommendations we've added to the plans. One other thing that we have done, there's a dead end at the end of Kent Street. There's actually a hydrant which is a dead end water main. It's a 6-inch line. One of the meetings on the Board of Appeals, the fire chief did have some concerns about, dead end or having it size and things of that nature. But our intentions are to we went in to the water department, had the recommendation, and we're going to take that 6-inch existing line, run it down to the cul-de-sac, and you'll see there's a 30-foot reserve or proposed utility easement. So what, in essence, we're doing is allowing us to tie that water loop in, that line into the main on Winter Street. Now, we were told that it's going to be a 6-inch all the way down through until you get to the 12-inch main, then there'll be a reducer. First down to 8 and then into the 6, and that was under the recommendation of water. So we hope that was resolved. Any questions that initially the fire chief had? It's pretty well explains what our intent is. We feel it was really most of the lots were larger or same size than the other. Certainly in the surrounding lots. There is one parcel noted as parcel A, and that was an agreement that initially from the start we made. One of the homeowners off of Lawson had asked if there could be some area reserved, giving him a little bit more space in his backyard. So we've accomplished that as well, and drawn and shown on these plans accordingly. If there's any outstanding questions or anything, any real any questions that you might have, more than happy to answer.
No, thank you. You did a nice job explaining and clarifying a question I would have had, and thank you for working with the planning department the way you did to satisfy some of the city concerns and getting it to this stage with no questions from me. And questions from other board members?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may. So you're not asking for a waiver for utilities, so everything's underground?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, all right, no, that's it for me.
Yeah, we the only, Mr. Sweeney, the only waivers we're asking for as far as utilities, under the recommendation of Chiki, we had moved some basins down, and because we needed a waiver, a slight waiver on cover, 3-foot minimum, but he was fine with that. And we went over everything with them and they would, showed them what we're doing. So
Okay.
that's listed on page 1 is all the waivers that we're asking for. It's all
Okay.
inclusive.
There are three waivers, correct? Frontage waiver for lots 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. And then for the dead end street,
Correct.
and then typical residential cross section.
Well, if you're sheet 1, back to sheet 1, Sean, there, yeah, you'll see that we had the waivers we're asking for the design standards, but exactly lot 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7 were the waivers for the frontage. Dead end street, we're asking for the waiver of your 700 feet to 810.8 plus or minus 84. Which is an extension of about 394 feet of roadway is what we're adding to. And then the other waiver we asked for was the cover over the pipes on the drain pipes that are listed on sheet 1.
Okay, so if this plan is passed, then these waivers would be voted on individually at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Madam Chair, if I could ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Self, how do you do? I was not on the planning board when you first came, so I just have one quick question. I understand that you, that the neighbors were talked to, all the abutters around this development.
Yes, we've had at least we had 2 on-site meetings during the design stages. We had one when we first initially came up with it, and we had also had a secondary one getting closer to the final. But and we had those with the city council. We had settled up with him, so it worked out very well. The abutters came in and. Again, the concerns that were brought to us, it's always, water drainage, things like that,
Right.
surface water. And the other thing is they all want privacy, and the new lots will want privacy as well.
Right.
So that was brought up, and that was agreed with the homeowner, so we thought we were, working with the neighbors as well.
So the development is going to add to their property values as well.
I certainly hope so. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
okay.
it'll be nice, new, and there's been improvements down in that area as well, roadway improvements already. So it's it'll be a great asset to the neighborhood, we feel. And
Okay,
again,
thank you.
they were very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and welcome to the board. It's nice to see you. Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, other questions from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm just wondering if he can speak on amenities like streetlights or sidewalks. Are those not?
Yeah, if Sean, if we could go to the probably the page sheet 5 again. Actually, let's go to sheet 6 if you would. Sheet 5 is good. Well, sheet 6. Yeah, that's good. Sheet 6. What you'll see here is what we've done. We haven't asked for any of your roadway construction waivers. It's sidewalks both sides, granite curbing all around. These lots are being accessed and built on for both sides. It's not like it's just a one-sided street where it's, different cause for, use of sidewalks and things. So that those waivers, we have not asked for any waivers on sidewalks or curbing and or street width. We feel the Kent Street has good width to it. It has no sidewalks or curbing on it. But this certainly in the future, should the city do an improvement on that, it would certainly add to quite a nice street. The other thing we try to do in our subdivisions, we create there's a 10-foot easement, planting easement all the way around the street on the back. So it's an easement on the lots. And that's where we put our trees. So that's where the planting, as you see, the green circles here will be, plantings that will go. We try to get 2 or 3 on each lot. And the reason we do that, we try to get them back so that in the future they're not lifting up the sidewalks. Over years those trees get up, and next thing you know, it's everyone's tripping in the sidewalks because it just heaves all the bituminous concrete or concrete cracks. So that seems to work out well. But that's the amenities what we put in there to be able to dress it up as best we can.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Seems like it's well designed.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, is this open for public or ready to open to public?
Yes, we are, Madam Chair. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this project, please use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen so that we can acknowledge you. If you are on a smartphone, dial *9 and is it star? Oh, *9, and that'll have the same function as the raise your hand. Again, use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen if you have a question. I do have a question. Councillor Lally, let me move you up. And he will be joining us as a panelist.
All right,
Mr. Lally, good evening.
Mr. Director, thank you. Members of the board, thank you. As Mr. Self mentioned, we had two neighborhood meetings on site to talk about the project. And I know that we were at the zoning board as well. I basically just want to, reiterate some of the things that, were brought up by the residents. They just wanted to make sure that, the property would come out well. I believe there was a request. Yeah, there was a request for a stipulation that there be a buffer of trees against the property that backs up to Ardsley Street or Ardsley Circle. And they wanted to make sure that we had, some clearly defined operating hours to make sure that this wasn't something that really disrupted the neighborhood. Again, so those things I would definitely put forward if the board would be able to implement any kind of stipulation, especially for the greenery. But I also want to express my appreciation for the developer's willingness to meet and listen to the the neighbors. But as always, I leave the the judgment and the decision up to the members of the august body, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Councilor.
Well, we did hear Mr. Self discuss the tree situation in his presentation. Some will have to be moved as part of the constructing of the stone wall and grading, but they're doing their best to avoid as much as possible.
Yep. I just mean keeping
Sure
what we
thing.
have, but also some kind of restoration. The people are
Yes.
worried about, making eye contact out of their back window with someone else.
That's half the fun of being neighbors.
And, Madam Chairperson, if I could just jump in quickly.
Sure.
I think what the contractor realizes too, that it works both ways, is privacy for the existing residents and privacy for the new lots as well. We feel that with the raised wall down and back and that little plateau plus that open area, we're going to try to save, as everyone has seen, once you have trees cut down in a it's not really a dense forest, but the trees look a lot different once you take all the brush and everything else away. But I do think there'll be additional planting from the new homes. They'll see that they'll want to plant along that wall, and that'll be for additional privacy in the future. That's what we're hoping and encouraging.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment, Mr.
I
Mayor?
do not have anyone else who wants to
Okay.
make a public comment. I do not see anybody's hand up.
All right, thank
At
you.
this time.
That portion is now closed. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, on the process here, what would be a stipulation for that? Are we thinking that just a moment of deliberation here?
Well, I believe it's already on the plan.
Okay, oh, it's on the plan. Okay.
Is that correct, Mr. Mayor? I thought it was on the plan. Some had to be removed for drainage, but there are,
Yes, it was on the plan.
yes, okay, all right,
Motion to approve with standard conditions.
okay.
Second,
All right, roll call. James Sweeney,
Yes.
Marty Crowell,
yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Yolando Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right, next, we have these waivers. Okay, the first waiver is design standards frontage waiver for the lot, following lots 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. Their motion.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Roll call. James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes,
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. Second is a waiver regarding dead-end streets, maximum dead-end street length waiver for Kent Street. What is the length for this, by the way?
The final length would be 810 feet, 810.84 feet.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Okay. Roll call, James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
yep,
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
and Tony Gonzalez, yes. Right. Last one, typical residential cross-section, minimum cover over drainage lines waiver for the following: D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D8, and D9. Their motion.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Okay, roll call, James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right, thank you.
Surety,
Oh, that's right. Got that covered, Mr. Self, for,
I'd like to come into the planning board. I'm sure we'll have to come in and work out whatever the board would need for the surety part of it, Rob.
well, you can, so for the temporary, you'll be leaving the lots as surety, and then we'll do lot releases.
Yeah, I think, and I'll speak with the developer, and I'm sure that's what you'll probably want to do is, we'll meet and you can review and whatever your recommendation will be. He's more than, adamant working with you, if that can be
Okay.
discussed.
That's fine, as long as we didn't forget.
We never forget that.
No, ma'am.
I
All
almost
right,
had a
Madam
note
Chair.
right here. Thank you, Mr. May. Next up, 710 Oak Street.
I do want to thank the board very much, and also the planning department for their effort and help. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr.
Sean.
Self. Thank you.
Good night. Okay, is Chris Fazio?
There's Chris. I'm moving him up.
So this is a site plan review.
Promoting him to panelist. Is Mr. Attorney Burke, is this also your case? I'm going to move you to panelist, and if it's not, oh, I have somebody on the phone. Whoops.
I want to be where Mr. Fazio's at.
I'm here.
I said, I want to be where you're at.
Oh, geez. Oh, God. I'm in my little man cave.
Okay,
Oh,
with the person on the cell phone or on the phone?
Rob, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you identify yourself?
Okay. Attorney Jim Burke.
Thank
I
you, sir.
represent Chris Fazio. I had some technical problems, so I'm doing it on my phone tonight. Thank you, Madam Chairperson and members of the Planning Board. I have the pleasure of representing Chris Fazio. Chris came to see me, I guess, about 6 or 7 months ago with a concept of building a car wash in the 710 Oak Street in that area that's between Cumberland Farms and Walmart. As I suggested to the zoning board when we made an appearance, there is a perfect site for a car wash in the city of Brockton, if there's such a thing. I think this is probably it. We appeared before the zoning board of appeals and were successful in granting a special permit to be allowed to go forward. Chris has been represented throughout the process by Phil Henry, who's here and is going to make a presentation. We would like the permission to approve the planning board site plan approval, and it's been, I think, substantially vetted by not only the department heads, but also Beta, because we have been required to also deal with the Conservation Commission. So if Phil's there, I'd like him to go forward and go ahead and give you an outline of the project.
That would be great. And while you're doing your presentation, can you also speak to the approval needed from the conservation? I guess there's an outstanding issue or meeting or something with them. If you could clarify that for us.
Sure. For the record, my name is Phil Henry with Civil Design Group. We are the civil engineers on this project. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Could you make it a little bit larger, Phil?
Yes. Let me see if I could zoom in. I'm going to start with this locust plan here just to orient everyone. Although I'm assuming everyone knows where and what we're talking about. But is this better, Rob?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, so just to situate everyone, Route 24 is running along the top of the page. Oak Street is running along the right side of the page, up and down. This is the Walmart here, and this is the Walmart entrance. The subject property that we're before you tonight is this trapezoidal lot area, which is about 2.5 acres in size. And as you could see, from the aerial underlay, it's largely comprised of open lawn area, if you will, and a section of the Walmart parking lot. And what you see on top of the aerial is the facility that we're before you tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to pan down. Excuse me. Okay, so now I basically zoomed in and I've rotated the property such that Oak Street is off the page here. The convenience store and the gas station is just off locus in the front here. This is the Walmart parking lot or drive aisle, excuse me. And then the Walmart is off to the rear, off locus in the southerly direction. So what we're proposing is about a 4,500 square foot vehicle washing facility that you can access via one main access drive off of the Walmart drive located here. As you enter, you have the option to use one of the 12 vacuum spaces, one of which is ADA compliant. Once you're done with those vacuuming your car, you can then enter one of 3 ways into the facility. There is 2 entrances here, and then there's also 1 entrance here as well. There is also, should you just want to vacuum or should you decide that you needed to leave the facility, this outermost lane also provides an overflow queue lane, if you will, just to exit and not be stuck with in the queue itself. In terms of exiting the property, all access drives, as you could see here, exit back onto the Walmart driveway. And then you could choose to either go back to your vehicle after the car wash, or you can exit via the signalized intersection on Oak Street. We are proposing to tie all the utilities into the shared utility and access easement area, which is this hatched area here within the Walmart driveway. We are also proposing to handle our stormwater area via an above ground stormwater management infiltration basin here, by which surface runoffs will be collected via inlets and then conveyed into this infiltration basin. Those of you that are familiar with the property, there are wetlands to the east and to the west opposite the Walmart drive-through, and the wetland to your page right or west drains in an easterly direction or page left via a 48-inch pipe. We are proposing to connect into that 48-inch pipe with the proposed development stormwater infrastructure. With regards to Conservation Commission, we've been in front of the Conservation Commission, I think in early July or late June. And since that time, we've been working with the reviewer on a number of technical items. And I'm happy to report that I think we're at the deadline, at the final few stages. There are 2 remaining items open that are essentially administrative only. I'm confident to say that there will not be any plan-related changes related to responding to the last two issues that they've raised. But with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Just a quick question. This doesn't have any bearing on the plan, but is this a chain of car washes? What's the name of this business?
Well, it's not a chain, it's privately owned. It's going to be called Super Car Wash.
Okay. And so I see all the cars exiting out of the car wash. It looks like there's three bays.
Yep.
Okay. And I can't really tell, but coming out of that Walmart, cars go whizzing through there now. Right now Walmart has an issue where they need some lines on the road and some more stop signs and yields, because people come, can't tell you how many times car accidents coming out of Walmart. And now I see these cars all exiting in that same area. What do you have for stop signs, yields, curbings, anything for safety?
Yeah, that's a good question. So like any internal intersection, if you will, the main driveway will have the right of way. So if you could see these gray lines, those are the existing stripings for Walmart itself. The proposed exits for the facility will have stop lines and stop bars at each exit, and there'll be landscaping to kind of funnel people in. And with stop signs itself, we think folks will go at the appropriate speed, keeping in mind that as folks exit the car wash, they're going to be doing so either in neutral or at very low speeds. We also have, from the opposite direction, do not enter signs that are facing the drive aisle, as well as striping on the pavement as well.
And what about this actually might help the flow of traffic coming out of Walmart to get people to slow down.
Yeah.
But looking at the very first one at the top of the page, do you have a sign, or could you consider putting a sign there saying, caution, cars exiting, or whatever is appropriate?
Sure. Yeah, let me make a note of that. Yep.
Madam Chair, this went through the ZBA, and just a heads up that this was one of our major concerns, was the traffic and the flow.
Oh, really? I just know I've almost killed myself coming out of Walmart, but thank you for that. If you have any other comments, James? Suggestions?
Well, that was our concern, and we were going to see this here on planning. He seems like he's putting it towards the property owner. On the ZBA, he did say if there were any issues that they would work with the property owner to install signs. I just don't know if the board wants to make that a recommendation before or after there's a problem.
Repeat that last piece again, sorry.
I just don't know if we want to stipulate putting in signs to either stop or warn the traffic internally in that property, before there's an issue. But they did say they would work, if they were having issues, they would work with the property owner to put signs up, or speed bumps, or whatever, to remedy any issues that you could foresee.
So Mr. Henry agreed to that caution signs, cars exiting, and so that can be if this is passed, it can be a condition. In the way of speed bumps, what were you thinking, or what was the zoning board thinking?
Well, we didn't get to that point. We did know that they have to stop here before. We just made it we can kind of see it before it happens, kind of thing. And if it does happen, I'm hoping they would take the proper precautions to keep people from frequenting a massive store like that. So I just don't know how the board feels about anything else of that nature, but I just kind of wanted to get it out there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what's going to happen. In one sense, I think it might slow down people coming out of Walmart, and then if the sign Mr. Henry agreed to, and if there are further issues, hopefully you'll work together. Who's the property owner? Is that?
I am Chris Fazio.
But the whole lot.
The Walmart is
whole
the
Walmart
larger.
area, the whole property.
Just to clarify, the 2.5 acre property where this facility sits was subdivided out. So it was once all Walmart's property, but
Okay.
this is its own property, as is
Oh, okay.
the convenience
Stop.
store and gas station up front are its own property. So technically, there's 3 properties here, if you will, the Cumberland Farms that faces Oak Street, and then this property before you tonight, which accesses its property through the Walmart easement.
Mr. Henry, could you go back to the locus map that had the ortho behind it? It was easier to see where vehicles were coming and going.
Yeah, I mean, we like to, I mean, just based on anecdotal experience, because we did the Cumberland Farms as well, a good majority of the folks also use this outside lane. Although I agree with you that incoming traffic uses this inside lane, if you will. But, you know, we would tend to agree that with the structure here, I think folks will naturally slow down. We're also willing to add any signage that the board may feel necessary on our property, and we'll be committed to working with Walmart to the extent that we can on adding any signage on their property.
If I could just add, I mean, I can foresee this. If someone's coming from right where 24 is in the top part of the parking lot from Walmart, you know, I could see him coming right to a point where your exit is, you know, yep, coming through there, and you've got, you know, a corner right there. That's not, you're not going to change any of that parking lot within your property, right?
No, no, we're not proposing to change that.
And then I can see from the, you know, assume another car is coming from the opposite side and you triangulate on the exit of your car wash. Do you see what I'm saying?
Are you saying that people are going to cut
Just
through here?
Potentially, you might want to consider boxing off your property. That way you keep a straight line, and that would avoid, you know, such a wide angle of cars meeting at the same point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I appreciate the comment. I believe, and I'm not the transactional attorney or the attorney on behalf of Chris, but I believe there is language that requires the parking spaces that are on Chris's property for Walmart to be unimpeded. So I don't know if we can do any physical hindrance here.
Mm-hmm.
But I do
could you cap the ends of those rows with some sort of maybe even curbing? So yeah, right where your cursor is, like say at the end of that row and then up the end of that row, that would eliminate a lot of cutting through that way and maybe drawing the traffic down somehow just to get it straight, you know, a beeline straight. And then, you know, you really can't.
Mr. Henry, could you zoom in a little bit more so we can see where that is? Because it looks like the property line is at the back or in the middle of a parking stall.
Yeah, it's along the spine of the striping.
Okay.
Madam Chair, so I was wondering if they can clarify, you can't restripe any of those parking spots? Or you can't do any restriping on your property?
I believe there is language in the agreement when Walmart sold this property to the seller that a certain number of spaces needed to be maintained. And I could tell you that the number of spaces that are proposed to remain meet the zoning, which is 543 spaces based on the current zoning parking requirement per the Walmart gross square footage. So, you know, in full transparency, I think carving out some end caps with some landscaping, although that's a very good idea, we may, I just don't want to put the Walmart in non-compliance. Which is why. Go ahead. Quick
question. Right where the cursor is now,
yeah.
Just south, or not south, but just below the property line, there's a little appendices that seems to stick out that is shaded as if it were a landscaped area.
Here?
Is that true, a landscape buffer?
Here?
Because that's where the lane changes.
That's right. Yeah. So this is proposed to be striping. Just because we didn't want to put any physical barrier on Walmart's property, but we could certainly add signage right here facing this way for oncoming traffic heading out.
Because certainly incoming traffic would see that striping
Yeah,
and move. And so that would cause them to slow down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we make those signs flashing?
I mean, I guess, Chris, do you have any objection over that?
Well, where would that be on that dark shaded area right below, Phil?
Yeah, I guess we're talking about maybe adding signage facing page left or south so that oncoming traffic can see this. And, we could do, it could also be like, lit up as well. Like there can be a light on top of it, like facing back at it.
Yeah, I don't think that should be a problem. Or we can do some type of reflection tape or flashing would be fine. That's fine.
Something to make sure people are paying attention, because these days, people don't. They're on their phones.
Right.
Now, looking at this from this angle, what about the cars coming in? Because it's hard for me to tell. Are they going to be whizzing through or coming in now? Are we going to have the same issue as coming out with warning cars? Do we need to warn them here too?
Yeah, I mean, I think signage is always a good idea. We could also put something here as well, being like saying, caution vehicles exiting car wash.
No, I think that's a good idea. I really appreciate you being cooperative, because this is a dangerous area.
Madam Chair, if I may. So, guys, if you can't do island caps, could you put on the rows there? Could you do, instead of if you don't have the room for an island cap per the space, could you do like signage pointing? So if you're coming out of the Walmart and then you're looking at your property from, from that side, where the rows are, could there be signs with directionals to kind of focus the traffic going down where we kind of want them to go?
That shouldn't be a problem.
On each of each, maybe two signs on each of the rows there. So at least we're telling them where to go, at least.
And if you could work it out with Walmart, that is an end cap where you have your little appendix hanging down outside of there. That would, if that were a raised planted bed, that would be a lot more conducive to slowing traffic than just the safety tape. But that's something that's not on your property. I understand you're going to have to negotiate that with Walmart.
Exactly. Yeah, I get. Yeah, we could say that we can work in good faith with Walmart, and we can propose that, because as part of this deal, I think our Walmart has to approve the layout as well, so we can show that to them, and they could opine on that.
I think one of your strengths here is this traffic is also their issue too. So working this through behooves them as well.
Right.
Madam Chair, if I could,
Of course.
this parcel of land was originally intended to have many stores on it. And it sat for a lot of years with just Walmart there. So I welcome this car wash. I live on Oak Street and I frequent Walmart. And when you turn in from coming down Oak Street to take a left, there's an arrow there for people to come in, and there's arrows for people to come out. The light is excellent. And since the Cumberland Farms has been built, I don't know of any problems. People can clearly see there's a gas station there, and people are exiting and entering the gas station right from that Walmart road. So I don't think it will be a problem to add a car wash. I really don't. I mean, I don't see it to be a problem.
No, it's designed nicely, but I do think that we need to take caution with the cars exiting. We were very cautious when we approved the Cumberland Farms with the way cars entered and exited to make sure there wasn't any issues. We just want to do the same with this very nicely designed car wash. I also welcome it.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I just have one question. I did notice that the Cumberland Farms has a sidewalk approaching the Walmart. And I know this is a car wash, and you're not going to have people walking up to the car wash, but there might be people
Certainly past.
Yeah, that people might have to pass by the car wash to get to the Walmart. So I was wondering, is that little shaded area, extension of the sidewalk.
Yes, yeah, when we met with Rob May in his office, probably almost a year ago, over a year ago, that was his first comment. So there's the
Great.
side.
I appreciate you all. It seems like you're trying to be good stewards. I appreciate that.
All right, any other questions? before we
Madam
open
Chair,
up?
that's
Yes.
Larry. Do have a
Hi.
question. Not so much about the plan, but the operation, what the hours are, and is this an automatic car wash or is it a manned car wash or a little bit of both?
This is fully manned. Minimum of 2 employees at all times. There are 2 in-bay automatics, and there is a 1 tunnel that is fully automatic. So there are no self-serve bays where the public can come in and wash their own vehicles. They're in the vehicle the whole time. They do not exit their vehicles. There's no walking around. The only time they would be walking around is just vacuuming their vehicles. So again, it's fully automated and it is fully employed, fully manned.
And the hours of operation, Chris?
7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, Monday through 7 days a week?
7 days a week, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you for the questions, planning board members. Ready to open to public?
Ladies and gentlemen of the public, if you'd like to comment on this proposal, please use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen. If you're on a cell phone, please press *9 to indicate that you would like to speak. Again, use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen if you wish to be recognized. And Madam Chair, I do not see anyone indicating that they would like to speak.
Okay, so before we're ready to make a motion, if this plan does pass, there is one condition for the flashing caution signs on the front side of the building and the back side facing Walmart. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve with standard conditions and also final approval being contingent upon the Conservation Commission approval.
Second,
And we need add the condition for the
And
flashing caution
condition
signs.
on the
in.
Oh, okay. I thought you were prefacing that, and also the conditions stated by the chair.
Okay, thank you. Second, Marty, did I hear Marty make a second?
yes, second, yep,
All right, perfect. Roll call. James Sweeney,
Yes.
Marty Crowell,
yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes,
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. Congratulations, Mr. Fazio. Thank you, Mr. Henry.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a site plan review, 26 School Street. This is a 40R. And the representative is Scott Rubin Esquire.
Scott, we've brought Carlos forward, but is there anybody else on your team that should be here?
Yes, we have Coleman Barnes from,
There's Coleman.
yes, most importantly.
Ooh, he should be joining now.
Hello, everybody. Looks like my camera's having some issues. Give me 1 second.
As long as you can share your screen, that work?
Who's having issues?
Coleman Barnes, it's just my camera. We can continue if that's. If it's not-
Okay, yep, sure, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Who's gonna pull up the site plan?
Let me open that up.
I think Coleman has a presentation as well.
Yeah, if we want to do that, that works. I can share that as well. That works.
You want to open, Cole?
Do you need Mr. May's assistance with the site plan?
No, Cole just needs to open it. There we go.
Yep, all set.
That's beautiful.
Very
I
nice.
gotta tell you, before they start, board members, we have been working with them diligently for the last year or so. You might remember there was a previous 40R proposal for this site. It was a smaller 4-story building that sat on the back of the lot, had property parking in front, and we were happy that this owner has chosen to go with a more urban look and feel to the building. It brought it up to the street and add some street frontage along School Street for pedestrian activation. So I will shut up at this point and let you guys take over your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. May. As you said, my name is Scott Rubin here in 71 Legion Parkway, Brockton, Mass. I've been in the city since 1969, been practicing law in the city since 1994. I'm pleased to represent this 26 School Street project. As Mr. May mentioned, we've worked diligently with the planning department, had several pre-meetings with Mr. May and stakeholders to sort of develop a plan that we thought was best suited for really I think the only undeveloped parcel realistically that's very close to City Hall. So it's an important project for the city. We've met with the city leaders as well, the CFO and the assessor as well to work hand in hand with this particular project. It's gone through a couple of incarnations. We do have several waivers that need to be addressed. We did review through tech review with the city engineer. We did look at the beta questions, and we did respond to all those beta issues and the third-party reviewer. And I'm going to give really pleased to introduce you to Coleman Barnes, who's worked architect with design resource team out of Boston. Again, he's worked very hard on these plans. I'm going to let him go through his sort of presentation, and then I can go through the waivers at the end, and then we can address any questions.
Thank you, Scott. As you mentioned, I'm Coleman Barnes, associate designer from Design Resource Team in Boston. We'll kind of jump right into this. We'll give you a quick run through what the project's looking like, and we'll elaborate some more after that. So just a quick overview. The building is looking to be about 77,000 square feet, about 85 feet tall. We're going to have 66 units, 31 beds, 36 two-beds. We will have affordable units in these, as is 40R, and we're going to have 22 parking spaces from the limited space on the site's parcel. And then there's also going to be a commercial space looking to be restaurant, but it is retail in general, can be used for multiple uses with about 4,000 square feet. And a quick look at our site plan. On the left, we have the civil and the survey of the site. So we kind of have an understanding of how that's splitting between Church Street on the north and School Street on the south. On the right, we have the more architectural plan, which should be kind of just an overview from the top down look. Again, Church Street on the north and School Street on the south. Here's a quick overview of our layouts, kind of cookie cutter repeating after the third floor. And that's strictly for the apartments and the layouts of that, showing consistency and standards in that sense. The top left is just a basement for retail and as well for the elevator override and for the main portion of the building. And then we have our middle floor for the ground level and all the parking and the main portion of the retail. I have a couple of large plans that you'll be able to see a little bit better. And then just another quick shout out to the unit layouts. You start to see how we're laying out the 1 and 2 beds and how the units specifically some will have 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, some 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Again, just a quick noticeable layout of how we're kind of laying this out from floor to floor to floor. And as I mentioned, here's some enlarged plans, basement on the left, again, primarily for the retail space, but also useful for the elevator overrides and whatnot. On the right, we have the parking, retail, and the main lobby for the entryway of the residential portion in the lower right, which we did have multiple conversations with the planning department about. One, making kind of enhancing that space, putting a better street appeal for it, as well as in reception, seating area, really utilizing some mailroom portions, kind of just dressing up that portion, really making it a focus for the residential. And then we also dressed up the retail side of it too, to kind of match that, to make that street level really appealing to anybody passing by. And then these are the unit layouts, a little more specific. The difference between type A and type B, aka the 6th and 7th floor, is different. The lower right portions jog in just a bit there, right by those lower stairs in that bottom right unit. Otherwise, everything else is pretty standard, and we are going to try and use as much standard materials. That way, there's minimal waste, and everything's kind of on a nominal basis. And then we have some elevations. This is the street view, aka the south elevation, showing some of the materials we're planning to use on the left. Again, we've gone over with the planning board with some of these materials to really jazz up the building, make it stand out, and make it have some curb appeal. Again, on west elevation here, adding some Juliet balconies to really dress that up, so it's not just a flat facade. Another conversation we've had. The north elevation on Church Street, where we'll have our garage opening entrance, as well as the rear of the retail spaces and access for them to drop off goods and whatnot. And the east side, again, emphasizing those Juliet balconies. We also are dressing up our stair shafts. That way we don't necessarily just have one box standing out from the building. We have another image I'll show you that kind of stands out. Here's just a little before and after for you to kind of see how that's changing the scenery and how it blends in. Quick shots of the upfront of the entryways. We dress these up with some eyebrows and a lot of lighting to that way kind of draw people in. And then here's just a shot of some nighttime views, again, using lighting to make the building kind of pop, and as well as make that those entryways pop to help direct people on the pathways walking by. And I'll pass it over to Scott to elaborate on some of our waivers.
Thank you, Coleman. One of the things that we talked about at tech review as well, which Carlos Ferreira has been in touch with our neighbor to the right, which is to remove. I don't know if you can go back to that slide, Coleman. Yep. So this area, obviously, was sensitive to the the issues that we can have downtown. We're trying to, based on the way the shape of this lot looks, we really have this gap. We needed to provide some room for our neighbor to access their building. But we also had asked them, and they agreed to remove that canopy, so that would provide, it's really over what used to be a walk-up window, banking window, and when this was the bank many years ago. We're still in discussions with them. We're not exactly sure of the timing of that, but we also would like to prevent anybody with pedestrian traffic from sneaking up inside the building as well. So we're certainly sensitive to the issues that are downtown. With that, we pretty much proposed a plan. I don't know, Carlos, you can share if you can go to the site plan if you want it. If we can switch that. We really pretty much built out to the lot lines here.
Yes.
For that purpose, that's one of the encouragements of the 40R project anyway, was that we pretty much use as much of the space as we possibly can. I wanted to reiterate that we do have a letter which we provided in the packet with the parking authority for additional spaces in Lot B that they secured for us. So we pretty much have a 1-to-1 ratio with the number of units that we have. along with the 22 spaces that we have in the on-site. So I don't know if the board would like me to go through the specific waivers or not. I know that I had an opportunity to look at the planning board's recommendations or the internal recommendations. I think there's a couple of additional waivers that we would need that were listed in the beta comments, in which we did respond to. I don't know if we specifically sent in a separate request for those, but we had landscape waivers, a waiver for a traffic study, and for a loading dock. So in addition to the waivers that I believe are already specifically requested, we want to make sure that we include those waivers. There's really no opportunity to do much landscaping on this site. Again, we've pretty much built out to the lot lines, and there's really no room for any additional landscaping here. I think the project itself we expect to beautify that particular neighborhood in that area. And so I don't think landscaping is necessarily requested, and we really don't have any spot for a loading dock for the commercial space. So, and since we requested and have some additional off-site parking just up the street, we didn't think it necessary to provide a traffic study. So with that, in addition to the other waivers that I believe are set forth in the application, we certainly open this up to any questions that the board have.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned Lot B is going to give you access for a one-on-one parking ratio. Lot B across the street, is that it?
I think that is adjacent to.
Lot B is on Lincoln, I believe.
Yeah, Lincoln Street. And I believe our letter from Parking Authority, let me take a look. They have provided us with 44 spaces. So that, in conjunction with the 22 that we have, would be 66. So I believe we're 1-to-1. I think the 40R is 28 technically requirements. So 44 and 22 on site matches at least 1-to-1 for the number of units that we.
And where are the lights on the building to, like, scones for the side and front down to the sidewalk? I saw some next to the doors, but I don't think you addressed any along the top of the building or sides.
Could you go to that night photo?
So is the light just coming through the windows, or is there going to be actual light?
So we have sconces along the street side, and then up the stair shaft here. Those would be illuminated at night.
Oh, wow,
they go down on every floor level.
I like that. Okay.
And,
I might have missed this, but where's the trash can? How does the truck trash get?
Was an accident.
It's on the side, on the right side of the building. On the
So we have
yeah.
trash here just behind the retail portion, and then
Yes.
also the residential trash is along this alleyway that is fenced in strictly for the building.
So who picks that up?
Well, we'd have to have commercial trash pick up that dumpster.
And there's access for the truck to get to that trash can off of Church Street.
Yeah, we would have similar to what pretty much all the dumpsters are fenced in anyway, so they'd have to pull up and we'd have a rolling dumpster to aid that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Board members, questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair. So just hypothetically, this isn't, this is just in the future. Does the rooftop of this building, the structure that you're building, would that support any rooftop activity in the future?
Oh, nice.
It's a conversation that could be had, but.
But is the structure that you're building going to support, could it support basically an above level?
We could. We discussed that idea of like having a rooftop, but we didn't pursue any further, because the building is going to be for rental use, and then there's the liability of like maintaining and how to control the number of people that will go to that rooftop.
Mhm.
So we, at one top, we prefer not to give access to the homeowners.
Gotcha. The structure as it sits, is there open space on the roof potentially in the future?
We could add to it.
Okay.
It would
In the
depend on the
future.
arrangement of
Yeah, just a
condensers and whatnot.
future, just a future look. Nothing that would be, nothing I would be asking of today, of course.
We
right.
thought about like having a like a little bit of like a decking area over the restaurant area also, but then it will impact the apartments that are on that floor.
Okay.
And then we decided to not do anything there either.
All right. My last question would be, could you pull up the space between the buildings again where you have the trash? Just see, it seems like, so that right side, you really don't have much space. And where you have the trash, what is that dimension in there? What's the open space?
Let me open
Is
that.
it just dimensional wise? Do you know what the open space is?
Give me one
Uh,
second. I'm gonna
Off
open
the
the door.
top of my head, I want to say it's at least 10 feet. Because
Oh,
those
10
are
feet.
It was more than
6-foot
that.
doors. Yeah, those are 6-foot doors. And then, you know, you
Well, I'm
have
talking, well, actually the other side where you have on the other side of the building, the left side where as we're looking, yes.
The restaurant.
Yeah.
the larger
So
structure.
all behind there going towards Church Street, no, I'm looking at that as all open from the wall there.
There's an easement there,
Okay.
actually. So that access point, yes, would remain open.
Oh, okay. So that's all right. That's an easement. Okay.
I believe that originally was an easement to the building behind, which probably isn't. Probably.
I'm just
There's no-
thinking event space. That's all. Is that the type of space that you could host a small event?
Uh, where is our lot line?
So I guess the question is, could the restaurant space open up onto that corridor
Right.
and have that corridor with some live plants and pots and things like that?
Live music,
Yes.
you know, you name it.
It
But
would
just
be, about, that easement is about 15 feet wide.
okay.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
could. And
certainly-
also we could have like an access to above the restaurant because there's no sort of a apartment or building above the restaurant. The restaurant just sits by itself.
One level on that side of the building.
Yes. It's
Right.
only
That
one level.
extends out. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, we're supposed to leave it open, but it's an odd circumstance because there's no curb cut. So
Gotcha.
clearly nobody's using the easement,
Right.
and the building behind us doesn't really need the benefit of it. And we have thought of approaching them to sort of, but for all intents and purposes, if we were to use it, or a restaurant was to use it temporarily, I don't see it-
Seasonal, right? Yeah.
What's that?
Seasonal. Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, nobody's actually using it. It's not really a usable easement since there's no way to drive on it. There's a potential that you could walk on it, but nobody really needs it for access. So.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Great plan.
That's
And-
good
and
stuff. Good stuff.
Just, Madam Chair, if I could just jump into address Mr. Sweeney's concern. As many of you know, we are working on a new zoning proposal for downtown that will match the downtown action strategy and urban renewal plan that will increase density even more. But it also has a requirement for 25 square feet of open space per unit. And that could be achieved either through balconies, terraces, patios, or a rooftop amenity for the tenants. So that is coming in the very near future.
I love it. Thank you, Rob.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go
We're
ahead.
growing up.
Yeah, I just have a question in regards to School Street. I do notice that there's a curb cut there, and I think like that curb cut most likely will be removed and the sidewalk will be probably
Continues.
that will be fixed. I'm just wondering if they can just clarify that and tell me more about like if there's any opportunity to add street trees. I know it's a pretty narrow sidewalk, but I don't know how much opportunity there is there.
What we did is the zoning bylaw actually encourages us to go like to the property line. And what we did is we actually set the building along that the school street side. So we have in front of the building, it's way wider. The building is like sitting like about like 5.5 feet back from the sidewalk. And the sidewalk, I think on that area is about like let me just measure this. It's about like 10 feet, 7 feet, I think, sidewalk.
I think the answer is yes.
Yes, I mean, there's opportunity for it. It's about 12 feet wide right now in front of the building.
Yeah, I mean, street trees would definitely be nice in front of that building. I feel like you all can't do landscaping, but adding street trees would be a great amenity to add.
You're thinking in the ground or planters? Because in the ground, then the sidewalks roots grow up.
We have ways of dealing with that.
Yeah.
So
They'd be in
the
tree
opening
pit.
that we did, the opening that we did on the front of the building where it has the name of the building, that idea, it was for like some sort of a yard, a landscape area to have like some plants to bring like some green towards the street. But we can certainly add trees to it. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah,
Well,
street trees.
I would like to see sidewalk trees and then something softer closer to the building.
So that, I mean, you know the street better than I do, Mr. May. That sidewalk's wide enough so that pedestrians can pass and pass by trees?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And did anyone address the planning department's one last concern about seeing the length of the overhangs of the roof lines extended?
Yeah, I did see that in the notes. I'm not sure how much ability we have. I can have Coleman talk about that as far as any overhangs that might go over the lot line. We're a little concerned about.
What it's not so much over the lot line is that we're trying to make the top of the building stand out and not be flush with the roof. And as you can see, there is this brown cornice that wraps around there and on. I'm using my pointer to point. Obviously, you can't see that. And then above the second bump out. So it adds a shadow line. And I think that comes to Evan's comment.
Oh, okay. So what's shown is appropriate.
Oh, it's
Unless Evan would like to.
So could you extend that a little bit more than what it is here?
Yes.
To increase that shadow.
In terms of all of those roof lines, we definitely have some room to grow and without going near the lot lines. So we could do that and maybe dress it up with some kind of cornice so it doesn't overhang too far without looking unintentional.
Sure.
Sounds good.
No problem.
Any other questions from board members?
No, I think you guys did a really good job with this one. Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public comment. Anyone have their hand up, Mr. May?
Actually, we have one attendee with his hand up. That's Deputy Chief Williams.
Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I love the project. I think it's a great project. Just one comment for the architects. Your distance between the building and the property line and the next building, take a good look at your fire resistant ratings for the walls and your windows included there. You've got windows on either side, and that might become a problem.
Sure thing, we got it.
Okay.
Thank you for your comment.
Ladies and gentlemen of the public, if you would like to address this project, please use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of the screen. If you're on a cell phone, please press *9 to let us know that you would like to speak. again, use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen if you'd like to address the board. And Madam Chair, at this time, I do not see anyone using the raise your hand icon.
All right, so if this plan is passed, there's a couple conditions, the sidewalk trees and extending the overhangs of the roof lines. Then after, if this plan passes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waivers that we'll vote on individually.
Again, I think, Madam Chair, we might need a few additional ones as well.
So you said the loading dock and landscaping waiver, and then we have the parking, we have the setbacks, and we have the lot area, open space, and floor ratio.
I think traffic was mentioned, waiver on that.
Say that again, please.
Waiver on the traffic study that came from Beta.
Yeah,
What-
that's fine.
So a traffic waiver,
Traffic study waiver.
traffic study waiver. Okay, thanks. All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve. With standard conditions. Are we doing the waivers separately or all inclusive?
The waivers are separately, but if you're making a motion, include the 2 conditions with the sidewalk trees and the extending the overhangs of the roof lines.
Okay, so with the conditions of the sidewalk trees and extending of the roof lines.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right, so now the waivers are up. First one is for parking, reduction of on-site requirement by 44 spaces. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I make that motion.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. Second one are the setbacks, allowance of the necessary front, rear, side, and roof setbacks.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. Next one, we have lot area, necessary reduction of minimum lot area per dwelling, floor area ratio, and open space requirement.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right, next one is a waiver for a loading dock.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
All right, roll call. Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right, next one is landscaping waiver.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
All right, roll call. Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right, and the last one is a waiver for the traffic study.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, roll call. Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. Okay,
Madam Chair, on the project here, they will have to seek ZBA approval for height. Am I correct?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
Oh, okay. What is, just
Under
so I
40
understand?
yard, under 40 yards by right.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you for clarifying.
And a quick point of to note, I apologize, and the team forgot to mention this also, but the name of the building is The Exchange, and that refers to the city's first telephone exchange that sat on that site. So you might
Oh,
remember
wow.
the operators who used to have to place your calls individually. That used to be there.
That's awesome.
that'd be nice to throw a little history, something there so people would know, like me, because I wouldn't know that. So if I walk up, I can read it. You should add that. Voluntarily,
idea.
of course, not a condition, just you volunteer that.
I think it's a lot for sure. If you get them from the talk to Chief Gallery with see if we have some pictures in the Historical Society.
Oh, and quick, for our minutes, how many units again was this going to be?
66.
66.
66.
Okay. All right, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent
Nice
job.
plan.
Thank you.
all.
Good job,
Chief
guys.
Williams, did you have
Thank
something?
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Irving.
Or is your hand still up?
You're
Okay,
muted.
thanks.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, I forgot to put his hand down.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Larry Hassan,
Yes.
James Sweeney,
Yes.
Marty Crowell,
Yes.
Yolanda Spinola,
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez, yes. All right.
And don't
Thanks, everyone.
forget, you're all invited to attend the community meeting next Tuesday, the 12th, where we're going to hear from Retail Coach, who is our retail recruitment consultant. And should be an interesting discussion to learn what kind of retail we're going to be tracking and targeting in the near future.
Rob, where is that meeting?
That is in the special events room of the public library on Main Street.
Thank you.
And
Thank
actually,
6 o'clock.
while you're talking about it, next Thursday is the draft for the new zoning that you were talking about downtown at East
Mm.
Middle, 6 p.m. if you guys are interested in that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Busy, busy, busy. All
Thank
right,
you very
y'all have a
much.
good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.